Assam Sammalita Mahasangha is an organization of indigenous peoples of Assam. It is a confederation of 100 indigenous organizations. We fully support the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, and we want to implement this declaration in Assam for the safeguard of indigenous people of Assam and the Northeast as a whole. And for this, we submit a PIL in the Supreme Court and urge the court to issue an instruction to the Government of India for implementation of UNDRIP in Assam. What is different articles of UNDRIP? It should be known to all indigenous people, and it is urgent and necessary. What is written in this declaration for the benefit of indigenous people? It is necessary and the people should know about it. So we today discuss about 10 articles of the United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People. Article 31.1. Indigenous peoples have the right to maintain, control, protect and develop their cultural heritage, traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions, as well as the manifestation of their science, technologies and cultures, including human and genetic resources, seeds, medicines, knowledge of the properties of fauna and flora, oral traditions, literature, designs, sports and traditional games, and visual and performing arts. They also have the right to maintain, control, protect and develop their intellectual property over such cultural heritage, traditional knowledge and traditional cultural expressions. Article 31.2. In conjunction with indigenous peoples, states shall take effective measures to recognize and protect the exercise of these rights. Article 32.1. Indigenous peoples have the right to determine and develop priorities and strategies for the development or use of their lands or territories and other resources. Article 32.2. States shall consult and cooperate in good faith with the indigenous peoples concerned through their own representative institutions in order to obtain their free and informed consent prior to the approval of any project affecting their lands or territories and other resources, particularly in connection with the development, utilization or exploitation of mineral, water or other resources. Article 32.3. States shall provide effective mechanisms for just, fair redresses for any such activities, and appropriate measures shall be taken to mitigate adverse environmental, economic, social, cultural or spiritual impact. Article 33.1. Indigenous peoples have the right to determine their own identity or membership in accordance with their customs and traditions. This does not impair the right of indigenous individuals to obtain citizenship of states in which they live. Article 33.2. Indigenous peoples have the right to determine the structures and to select the membership of their institutions in accordance with their own procedures. Article 34. Indigenous peoples have the right to promote, develop, and maintain their institutional structures and their distinctive customs, spirituality, traditions, procedures, practices, and in the cases where they exist, juridical systems or customs in accordance with international human rights standards. Article 35. Indigenous peoples have the right to determine the responsibilities of individuals of their communities. Article 36. 1. Indigenous peoples, in particular those divided by international borders, have the right to maintain and develop contract relations and cooperation, including activities of spiritual, cultural, political, economic, and social purposes with their own members as well as other people across borders. Article 36. 2. State in consultation and cooperation with the indigenous peoples shall take effective measures to facilitate the exercise and ensure the implementation of this right. Article 37. 1. Indigenous peoples have the right to the recognition, observance, and enforcement of treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements concluded with states or their successors, and to have states honor and respect such treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements. Article 37. 2. Nothing in this declaration may be interpreted as diminishing or eliminating the rights of indigenous peoples contained in treaties, agreements, and other constructive arrangements. Article 38. 1. State in consultation and cooperation with indigenous peoples shall take the appropriate measures, including legislative measures, to achieve the ends of this declaration. Article 39. Indigenous peoples have the right to have access to financial and technical assistance from states and through international cooperation for the enjoyment of the rights contained in the declaration. Article 40. Indigenous peoples have the right to access to and promote decision through just and fair procedures for the resolution of conflicts and disputes with states or other parties, as well as to effective remedies for all infringements of their individual and collective rights. Such a decision shall give due consideration to the customs, traditions, rules, and legal systems of the indigenous peoples concerned and international human rights. By this 10 article, we can realize what are the rights of indigenous people, how can we stand, how can we able to exercise our rights through UNDRIP. So it is highly necessary for the indigenous people of Assam and the Northeast as a whole to unite and fight for their own thousand-year rights in their own homeland or motherland on the basis of UNDRIP.